Hi guys, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back today with another 12 by 12 scrapbook layout. This is just for fun, this one. I am using the Cocoa Vanilla Happiness collection again, and you can see here I've got a piece of white cardstock and I printed a cut file out on it. So I just did an internal offset on it and I printed it on my computer, which takes up to A3 size. So I think this is just, yep, it's just slightly smaller than a 12 by 12, as you can see. But I am planning on using that gorgeous pink paper to border my layout with anyway. So I'm just going to trim off a little bit more. And that cut file, I believe it's from Paige Evans. I think I got it as a freebie from her Facebook group. And it's just a regular cut file, but I set it to print the lines and just ran it through my printer instead of through my Silhouette. And it's come out, yeah, I just printed it in very light grey and it came out a bit too light, so I did go over it in just lead pencil, as you can see there. I'm just cutting out the center of this paper so that I don't waste all that beautiful middle. And I'm actually going to hand stitch this one. So this is a good way to get a hand stitch design without having to draw it or without having to use a specifically sketch and stitch one. So I'm just using my ATG to stick my white cardstock down to the border. Go. I'm going to go very hand stitchy and mixed media-y on this one. And that actually does a lot of the work for me, as you'll see. So I'm just going in here with a pin and I'm putting a hole in on the sort of outermost edges of my design. I just want to have an idea of where it is, because obviously I've put it face down so you don't see the lead pencil later, but I still need to know where my design's going to be because I'm going to do mixed media. So I just poked a little hole all the way around the edge so I could see the borders of it, I guess. And now I'm going in with just plain white gesso, putting a very thin layer down with my scraper, and I'll do that over the entire background. And I've let that dry in the meantime. So I'm going in now with my watercolors and I'm just going to do the same sort of colors that are in this collection. I'm going to use those beautiful deep raspberry pinks. I'm going to use some oranges and some yellows. Just lots of nice warm colors. So I'm going in with these deep berry pinks, and I do mix a little bit of that very dark orange there in, so you get that sort of, it's kind of hard to describe some of the pinks in this collection. They're almost a hot orange pink, if that makes sense. So there we go. I didn't add quite enough water, so I'm just going to splash a little bit. I'm just doing the packaging technique, of course. I love this technique. Just gives a beautiful sort of soft blurred edge to your mixed media. Go, keep on going. So I'm pretty much just going to do this over the whole background, alternating colors. I will bring in my pearl watercolors in a minute and do some with those because they're beautiful and shiny and shimmery. So here I'm just adding in the center of my swatches a little bit of a deeper, darker color there, just to add a bit more dimension. So I want the edges to be sort of nice and soft, but I love that really deep, rich color there. So here we go. These are my Pearlized Watercolors. They're just cheap ones from Spotlight. And I'm using orange color here. Nice deep reddish orange. I'm going to overlap all my colors a little bit. So because they're all next to each other on the color wheel, they blend pretty nicely together. I don't have to worry about them going muddy or ending up with brown patches. Go. I've sped this bit up quite a bit because I just feel like I spent forever doing it, so I don't want you guys to be sitting here watching me for an hour. So back and forth, I used a bit of yellow there. I'm mixing in a bit of yellow with some of my orange. I'm overlapping all my colors. A bit more orange out of my watercolor set. Those Pearlized watercolors are really pretty, but they're not very saturated. So they give that really pretty nice shine, but they're kind of pale. So I'm just going in with my watercolors in the places where I want a bit of a deep, rich color. It's actually really nice to lay the pearly ones over the top of the plain ones. There we go. I'm really enjoying yellow at the moment. I'm not usually an orange-yellow person, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm using it more and more, which is nice. It's nice to see me branching out of my color comfort zone a little bit. And of course splatters. I sort of try and keep it mostly tone on tone, so I'm going over the orange spots with orange splatters and the pink spots with pink splatters, and etc. Okay, now we're paper piercing. So I am just flipping my design over and I'm coming in with my Amy Tangerine paper piercing kit. Comes with a little foam mat and a little paper piercer, and there you can see it comes through on the other side. You can see all the holes, no problem. There's no issues with piercing it from the back. And I'm going to do a chain stitch. I am going to do a mixture of colours. I'm going to do white on some of the butterflies. I'm going to do, I think I do a pale purple, a pale blue, and a pale pink. And yeah, I think that's about it. I am just going to use sort of leftovers. I have a bunch of sort of odd flosses that I have leftovers from cross stitch kits. So there we go. I'm zooming right in so you can see it's not the best. It's really hard to do this on camera, but you'll get a bit of an idea of how to do a chain stitch. So you just want to come up one hole, back through the same hole, leave a little loop. I always keep my thumb there to hold the loop. And then you want to go up the next hole and through the loop without getting tangled, preferably. And then back in that hole again, same hole you came up out of, leave a loop, and then up through the next hole and through the loop. Easy peasy. Once you've done it a few times, you can do it in your sleep. There we go. You can see all my butterflies are done, and that is the layout pretty much done for me. I mean, that took a long time, don't get me wrong. It does take a lot of time to do hand stitching. Of course, I let the hand stitching dry. I let the mixed media dry before I did the hand stitching. You don't want to do hand stitching on a page that is even anywhere near damp, because you will just tear that paper. You'll rip it to shreds. So make sure it's really, really dry. Leave it a couple of days. Okay, this is the photo I'm using. This is me and two of my very, very best friends quite a while ago now. This was taken in 2013. I just found the photo randomly. It's one my friend took and printed out from her camera, and I just found it floating around in my stuff. So, like, lovely photo of us. I'm going to scrapbook it. And I particularly chose this collection to scrap this photo with because you can see in the photo I've got red hair. My friend has that sort of peachy shirt on, and the colours just, I don't know, I thought it would really go nicely with this collection. So I'm pulling out the 6x8 paper pad. I'm using this paper because I really like that gradient from pink to through to orange, through to yellow at the bottom. It just ties in all those colours in my background really perfectly. Just stressing the edges a bit, and then when I lay it on my page, I just felt like those colours blended into the background a little too much. So I want another layer of something to sort of provide a buffer. And I find the wood grain, and I think that's a really nice little layer to put down because it's still nice and warm toned, so it goes with the layout, but it's a neutral, so it provides that bit of a barrier. And I'm just using my cheat method of saving all the scraps of paper that I possibly can by cutting a strip for either side rather than making a full photo mat that you're not going to see. Time to embellish, and of course there's very little embellishment on this page now that it's so full of hand stitching, but it does take me forever still to do the tiny bits that you see. And I've cut most of it out for you so you don't have to painfully watch that. But I do use that sweet tag and that pink tag. I'll put my date up there. I like that happy title, but I'm thinking, I don't know, it looked kind of weird on its own. I want 2 words, not just one. And I came across that happy times, which I quite like. But then I found best friends. I found the friends. I'm like, oh, is there something? I found the good, but then I found the best. I'm like, oh, best friends is way better than good friends. So, and I really like that. I like how the loop of the S sort of fits in that gap there. I don't know. I just liked it, and it fit really well. I pulled out this little flare. I just pulled off the foam that it was on and put a bit of my own foam behind it so that it's not sticky. I could have just stuck something on the foam, I guess, but oh well. I like the flare because I already have 2 pops of navy there with the sweet tag and the title, and I want to run sort of a line of diagonal navy across the page because it really draws your eye, and my photo's right in the middle. Well, it's offset down near the bottom of the page, but it's centered horizontally. So I find that little sticker on the sheet, and I know that there are two scripty things together there with the flare and the sticker, but I don't mind that. The flare says happy snaps and the sticker says this is my happy, or this makes me happy, something like that. I really liked it. Just fit that space nicely. And then I'm putting in a little butterfly. That is one I hand cut, fussy cut. I can't speak, I'm sorry, it's quite late. I fussy cut that from the paper in this collection that is just all little butterflies. I pretty much fussy cut that entire sheet of paper. And I'm going to come in with more butterflies in a minute, you'll see. I'm just now popping some foam behind my title. I'm going to pop some behind the part that is hanging off my photo, and then I'll pop some all the way under the friends part of the title as well. There we go. And then I've pulled in more of those butterflies that I fussy cut, and I'm going to sort of layer those in the middle of those hand stitched butterflies, and I'm doing those mostly tone on tone as best I can. Just love how this layout turned out. So happy with it. And then with my butterflies here, again, I am popping the wings up on foam and just gluing down the very center so they're super dimensional, and I do that with all the butterflies on this layout. It makes such a difference when you do that. Now, I was going to stick foam on the back of my photo, but I realized that all that hand stitching, it's not going to sit flat. So what I do instead is I measured out around the back of where my photo would sit, and you can probably see because I don't think I hand stitched all those butterflies. I just stitched most of the ones I needed to. But I'm going to pop foam just straight on the page in between those stitching gaps there. And that way my photo will sit nice and flat. It won't matter that there's stitching underneath because there's nothing to get in the way. I'm just popping a bit of wet glue on top of all the foam and on top of the stitching as well, just for a bit of extra grip, I guess. Carefully positioning that photo. And then I am going to start gluing bits and pieces down. Glue this down. I won't make you watch all this. I love having my title overlapping my photo a little bit if I can. Go. There's not going to be much more embellishment on this page. I like those labels there. I'm just going to distress the edges a little bit, and then I'm going to pop my date. Well, my date is just going to be the year because I have no idea when actually this was taken. I feel like it was the summer because I'm wearing a sundress, but where I live that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So it could have been in the warmer months, but if it was the summer, I would have been pregnant with my son in 2013. And looking at the picture, I may have a belly there, but again, it's kind of hard to tell. So who knows? But I know this picture was taken in my bathroom, which is kind of funny, but yeah, it was good lighting and we wanted a selfie. So I'm just going to pop those exactly there, just behind the photo. Yeah, excuse my head. And then some tiny word stickers. I'm just going to put good times together, I think they say below the title, just to help sort of fill in that gap and ground my title a little bit. And then I'm going to come in with some sequins. This is a Pretty Little Pieces sequin mix from my Scrapbook kit club. I think it was from the Sky kit. And that's going to be the layout finished. I'm going to pop on some of these big peach sequins. They kind of look green in this light, but it's just the light. You'll see in the close-ups they're peach. And then I'm going to scatter some smaller ones all the way around the layout. And I do go in off camera right at the end and do a line of machine stitching all the way around the edge of the white piece of cardstock. I'm so happy with how this turned out. It was really simple, really. Not a lot sort of going on. A lot of work went into the hand stitching, of course, but very minimal embellishment otherwise. But I love it. I'm so happy with it. It's one of my favorites. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I hope you like the layout as well. I will see you in my next video. Close-ups are coming up. Bye, guys.